This is a place.
This is the place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Thanks for listening to This is a Place podcast. My name is Brandon, and I'm joined by a man who is just not ready for Halloween to end, Nate.
Not ready or don't like Halloween ends?
Both. You don't like Halloween ends, and you're not ready for the season to be done with.
I'm not. It's been a very pleasant October, especially with it being like 80 degrees outside, 75, 80. Then, boom, overnight, snow. Like a 35-degree change.
Got
in a
snow on the
week.
ground.
I have no use for snow. I think we've talked about this before. I got no use for it. So I just got back a couple days ago from San Diego. That place I could get used to. Where it's like, 75 degrees year round. No snow. Except the ocean's freezing. That's the only downside.
Yeah, don't have the warm beaches.
I'm ready to answer your daughter's question. So we'll back the bus up. You were kind enough to give me a ride to the airport. My wife was supposed to go to me. I had my work conference in San Diego last week. My wife was supposed to go with me. And she wasn't able to go. But I wasn't thinking like, oh, crap, how am I going to get to the airport then? Seems dumb to go pay for parking when it's just me. So, Brandon, called you up and you said, yeah, I'll give you a ride. You brought your kids with us. And I was at the ticket counter, like getting my ticket printed out, and you called, and it freaked me out originally because I was like, oh crap, I forgot something, right? That's what I thought. I forgot something. You're just like, oh, my daughter wants to know what you're going to be for Halloween. And I didn't have an answer for her because I haven't really put much thought into it because, Fat Jesus has been my go-to costume for the last 2 years, and I don't have my hair long enough to do it. But I figured it out. I'm going to wear a hot dog suit. I have a hot dog costume, with a Michael Myers mask. I'm going to be Oscar Myers.
I like it.
You like it?
Are you going to wear this to the BYU game?
Do I have to go to the BYU game?
That's a whole nother conversation that I don't really want to get into.
Last year, the BYU game was on October 30th, but since we're in Utah, everybody went trick-or-treating that night. So it really was Halloween when I went to the BYU game, dressed up as Jesus. That was fun. But I don't know, do you think people are going to dress up when it's a Friday night game, like 3 days before Halloween?
I saw people dressed up at the Liberty game for Halloween.
Okay. I guess it's an excuse to dress up.
You don't have to.
You know what we should do? I should get myself, my brother-in-law, and whoever I take in my nephews to put brown bags on our heads.
For the shame.
For the shame. Isn't that what like the Cleveland Browns fans were doing for a while back in the day?
It does feel like we're at that point in the season.
Like I'm a closet BYU fan. I want people to know I'm a BYU fan because I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
And get this. You would ask, so I have a BYU tie, I have a Denver Bronco tie, and I have a Jazz tie, and I have a few other sports teams too, but those are my 3 ties I like to rotate through depending on who's playing well and who I'm proud of at the moment. If you would ask me a month ago even, when's the next time I'm going to wear my Utah Jazz tie, I would have said, I don't know.
It's going to be the last place is what you thought.
It's going to be years, but I wore my Utah Jazz tie yesterday. Why? Because they're 3-0 and maybe 4-0 by the time this podcast comes out or this episode. But BYU, no bueno. Broncos, no bueno. And I thought those 2 teams, I had so much hope, so much expectations going into the season, and they've let me down. And then the Jazz, I had 0 expectations, thinking they're going to tank, and here they are kicking butt. And I'm like, but maybe it's going to be short-lived because good things just don't happen to me, Brandon. They just don't.
They don't happen to us.
Yeah, they don't happen to us. So, but to answer your daughter's question, yes, Oscar Myers
I'll let her know. She'll know exactly what you're talking about.
referring to. I hope not. Did she already say what she's going to be for Halloween? I forgot.
Yeah, we're doing Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
So she is Sally. The baby is Jack Skellington.
All right.
My wife is Oogie Boogie. And I am kind of TBD. Likely going to be the mayor.
Okay. Well, I need to come
Which is
visit.
funny. I love Halloween, but dressing up is my least favorite part of Halloween. So it's hard for
Right?
me to pick something or want to dress up. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really
Yeah.
warped.
Yeah, it's true. I like the experiences of Halloween, like going to haunted houses and parties and that stuff. But yeah, the dressing up never been. That's why, like when I had the long hair, it just always defaulted to Jesus because it was a simple thing to do.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you. But Broncos a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan, so we'll have to come check out your costumes. Unless you guys plan on coming to the trunk or treat,
We will not be at the trunk or treat, but maybe we have to come trick or treat at your house. I don't know if you're
maybe.
gonna be around.
Well, Bronco has let me know that he's too old for Halloween, so he plans on just handing out candy this year. So I really only have one kid left to go trick or treating, but she's even on like the fence about it as well.
Mm.
But I think she's gonna take advantage of it. Which brings up one more question. No one more question. It brings up a question. If you're too old to go trick or treating, like your teenage years, right? So Bronco's too old, Rocky's too old. Do they? And going back to costumes, do they need to dress up for Halloween? Do they have to put a lot of effort into it? Like they both wanted to get Halloween costumes and that we would have had to spend a decent amount of money on them. But I'm like, where would you wear them and when? Because you can't wear costumes outside of elementary school to school, right? They don't allow it in junior high and high school. So when would you wear it?
Well, let me continue with this point for a minute. Number one, I'm gonna say they should still wear them because, or at least get the costume because there's many times when I was growing up that I said I was too old for Halloween and trick or treating, but I ended up wanting to go trick or treating anyway.
Right.
So I think it's worth it just for the contingency plan. And then you've got another costume for whatever.
Well, that's the thing. We've got enough costumes for the years, especially, me and the clearance stuff. I've purchased costumes. So as far as like putting a costume on, if they want to go trick or treating, they can, but like they want these specific like characters.
Expensive characters.
Yeah, to do. So it's like, well, okay, why we and Rocky, for example, the one he wants, you need a mask. And I'm like, well, most things you go to, they won't wear a mask. So anyways, but then I also feel bad because they want those costumes. I'm like, do I just give in and get them, knowing that they probably won't even get a chance to really use them?
Yeah. Well, my other point with this is probably the number one reason why you should let them still have costumes and keep up that tradition is because you need to thwart off the evil Halloween entities that exist. Because dressing up in animal furs and costumes is the way to do that.
Yeah, maybe not to scare them off, but to blend in so they don't get you.
Right. And that goes along perfectly with our topic for the day, because that is a big part of what the movie is that we are discussing for this episode.
That's right. So we're lucky enough, the man behind a movie made here in Utah called Curse of Crom, The Legend of Halloween. Let's take a listen. So we have Rob York here with us today, who is the director, producer, editor. What else are you, Rob?
like half the things. Yeah, I would say mostly I would say I'm the co-writer and director.
Right on. Of the movie, of course, what you're talking about is the Curse of Crom, The Legend of Halloween. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, before we dive into the movie, do you want to give us a quick bio of who you are, like where you grew up and basically what you've been doing your whole life?
Yeah. So basically, when I was a little kid, we moved around a lot, eventually settled in Utah. And so I spent my middle grade through high school years in Alpine and then in the Utah County area ever since then. I love Utah. It's a great place to live and work.
So is making movies your day job, hobby, a little bit of both?
So right now it's my work, which is kind of cool. I grew up making, little camcorder movies and stuff, and that kind of sparked my interest. And then I actually studied advertising when I was at BYU, but I always just kind of did film related things for fun, and then just never ended up getting a job in advertising. So I do a lot of video editing of TV shows and things like that. But I also like to write, and this is kind of my effort to lean more into writing and directing, because that's kind of the more fun direction I want to go in.
Are there any cool projects that you've worked on that we might recognize outside of this movie?
Let's see, cool projects that I worked on inside of this movie.
They don't have to be cool. Just
Doesn't have to be cool.
projects
Any
too.
projects we might recognize, I should.
I mean,
Cool or not?
I've done with video editing freelance, you get to work on like a lot of different cool projects. They're just like, but you only get like little minute part in them. So, I've been part of several really cool Netflix movies and that sort of thing, but like, you wouldn't recognize the part that I did because it's so small. Because there's, it's a collaborative effort, and there's an army of people who are all way more important than I am. So, but mostly, I mean, I've got to work with cool people who've done really cool things. So that's always fun.
So tell us what the movie's about.
Curse of Crom, The Legend of Halloween, is about a group of teenagers who accidentally unleash an ancient Irish entity on their hometown, and they have to figure out how to stop it before midnight on Halloween. It's a kind of an 80s throwback film in the sense that it's kind of meant for kids, but it's also meant to be actually scary. Kind of a classic 80s feel to it, all practical effects, slime, real monsters that we actually had there and filmed, puppets, that sort of thing. Just kind of a fun popcorn flick that, really has that Halloween feel.
And this movie is your first that you've directed?
Crom is actually my second feature that I've directed. My first was called Magellan, and it's kind of a sci-fi, like hard sci-fi space exploration film. You can watch it now. It's on Prime and Tubi and several other places. And that one I kind of counted that one as like my film school, because it was really, really low budget, probably the lowest budget sci-fi film ever made. And this is this is my third film that I've directed as a feature, but the second one that's completed. The other one's still in post-production.
Oh, so we have more to look forward to then.
Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see when it gets done.
So with this movie, getting into Curse of Crom, what was the inspiration? What led you to make this one?
Oh man, so my earliest memory of all was of Halloween, and I must have been like 2 or something, but I remember being in an apartment and somebody knocking on the door, and my parents opened it, and there was a kid dressed as a robot, like, classic cardboard square robot painted silver. And that's like literally my earliest memory. And I've just loved Halloween ever since. And I wanted to make a movie about Halloween, not just taking place on a Halloween, but actually about the legends and the traditions that kind of all revolve around Halloween as we celebrate it today. And that's kind of what sparked the idea. And then it was just a matter of, looking at all the different traditions, like trick-or-treating, wearing costumes, carving pumpkins, and kind of trying to bring them all together into one coherent story.
So is the Curse of Crom like a true legend, or is it a short story by somebody, or how's the story come to be?
It's not a real legend, but all the individual parts of the film are real. Like Crom Croch is an old Irish deity, pre-Christian era pagan kind of god thing. And so that, that's real. That really happened. The idea of wearing costumes from ancient Celtic people, wearing these animal skins so the spirits wouldn't torment them. Like that's kind of a real thing. So just taking all those real elements and then bringing them together into a story.
You mentioned that you were trying to make you said you wanted to make like an 80s Halloween scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
So was that like, because I kind of got that vibe that it was the movie's set, well, kind of an 80s feel, but is it supposed to be 80s feel, but yet in today's time?
Yeah, it was just the way that we filmed it, the style we filmed it in. And then like the use of practical effects, like there's no digital effects in the entire movie. It's all practical, other than digital compositing, because that just makes things easier since we're not working with film. But we actually, filmed optical illusions in water tanks for the ghosts and things like that. So it's all practical, very, I don't know, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of visual effects to it. So it just makes it fun for me, really visceral and, slimy and fun.
Yeah, that's what I kind of enjoyed about it, was the kind of the old school filming process, like you said, but it was kind of fun that it was set in today's time with the cell phones and all that stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing was also like, I guess making a film that was kind of for kids, but not like dumbed down for kids, like a lot of modern movies are. Like, when I was a kid, kids movies were like Gremlins and, Never Ending Story and all these films that were like kind of traumatizing as a child, even though they're meant for kids.
Good point.
And so I wanted to capture that feeling, because that's what made them fun, right? Like I was actually going to get scared. Like, oh man, Poltergeist looks so scary. Do I dare watch it?
Mom, you better leave out food for this creature.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. Like I feel like a lot of kids movies nowadays, it's like they're so sanitized that there's no actual like danger to them. Like in Goonies, those kids could get killed. like it's pretty intense. And nowadays, like, there's very few kids movies that are made that way. They're all like, they're very safe, and there's not a whole lot of real danger to them.
But I do think it's fun in the movie how the teenagers they get excited when they finally get a visit from Crom, right? Even though it's, they're like, I believe now too. Like, I'm excited.
Yeah, they get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just teenagers nerding out about things the way that teenagers do.
Which seems realistic, right? That's probably what a teenager would do nowadays, compared to back in the 80s. But just a different time.
I think Nate and I both got excited about when we heard about this movie, since it was filmed in Utah. Where all was it filmed? I saw something about mostly being filmed in American Fork, but were there other places you did filming?
So I would say like 90% of it, 95% was in American Fork. When we wrote the script, the idea was that our budget was going to be really limited. So one of the ways you cut down on expenses is you try to film, as much as you can in one location. But I didn't want it to be a one location movie. So, I wrote the script around a bunch of places that I knew I was able to get access to, that were really centrally located. So even though we have quite a few different locations in the film, they're all within 5 minutes of each other out in American Fork. So
yeah, that's what made it kind of fun for us being from Utah, seeing like, oh, there's American Fork, or that spot in American Fork, or the mountains. And looks like you even used the high school a little bit.
Yeah, we got permission to use the high school. The field that they end up in the end of the movie was a horse pasture behind where I live. We filmed all over this neighborhood, and it was just kind of fun because the community kind of got excited about it, and everybody was willing to help out and stuff. There was nobody that even though we were filming, all night long with fog blowing everywhere and stuff, we didn't have any incidents. So it was great.
That's good. How long did it take you guys to shoot the film?
So our primary shoot was 11 days, and then we had one pickup day, like one full pickup day, and then a couple of smaller pickup days as well. So overall, probably about 14 days worth of shooting time, which is a ridiculously fast turnover for a film. Like it's hard to do a movie that quick, but it's just kind of a budgetary constraint we had.
When did you do the filming?
We filmed it last October. the last week of October, took Halloween off, and then filmed it again the first week of November. And that was mostly because we, for this kind of a film, atmosphere is everything. And we really wanted to capture that classic, Americana Halloween kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I think that really came across. It wasn't, you weren't thinking this was filmed in a different season. Like it felt like it was actually the time period when it was taking place, which I
Yeah.
thought was cool.
Yeah. No Hallmark. Try to pass off December.
Yeah.
Fake snow.
There's leaves everywhere, helps with the production value.
My office is downtown on Main Street, and I think it was about a year ago they were filming some Christmas movie like in the middle of July, where the actors had just got to be sweating, hot as can be, but they have, like you said, a fake snow and all that stuff, trying to pull off that it's middle of the winter. That's got to be miserable from an actor standpoint, or even the crew, right? To be cooking out there.
If you have a big budget, you can pull it off sometimes, but for a more indie film, it's definitely good to have those leaves and pumpkins and everything right there already. So
like, what's the main goal? Like when you make a movie like this, like do you make this knowing it's going to go to Prime Video or Peacock, or how does that process work to find out? Or do somebody have to buy it once your film is completed? Or
so it depends. I mean, I think every movie is a little different. Some people just do it because they want to tell a story. I mean, other people are, doing it because they're hoping to make a lucrative business out of it. For this, it's, I think for Curse of Crom, my goal was I just had this fun story that I wanted to tell. And then, also keeping in mind that, it's got to pay for itself. Because filmmaking is not cheap. You have investors that you have to, make sure get paid back. So how the whole process works, though, is, and again, I think this varies by every film, but in the case of Crom, it was, we had the script. I pitched it to a production company who ended up funding the film. And then once it was completed, we shopped it around to several different distributors and found the match that we thought gave us the best deal and we thought would be good for the film. And then the distributor from there takes it over and aggregates it onto whatever platform or, theatrical or whatever ends up being the distribution model for it. In our case, it went straight to streaming on Prime and Vudu and Peacock and some of those streamers. But with the idea being that it's a Halloween movie, we want to get it out in time for Halloween. And then, hopefully everybody's able to find it.
Yeah, it's just it's different now than it was, probably 10, 20 years ago, right? With all these streaming platforms compared.
10, 20 years ago, the thing was you make a movie and you put it out on DVD because that's, you could get into Redbox and put it on DVD and you make your money back. And a lot of foreign deals for foreign distribution. Nowadays it's a lot harder because the physical media is gone, but there's a lot of other streaming platforms that are out now, and that's kind of the standard is either you go theatrical or you can go through the festival circuit and then try to get a distributor that way. The way we had it set up for Crom, though, is when we got the funding for it from our production company, they already had some distributors they had relationships with, so it was kind of an easy process to talk to them and get a deal going there.
And then my other question is casting. How, since we're in Utah and we're not like in Hollywood or New York where they have a lot of open casting auditions, how do you find actors for a film like this?
The actress who played Mary, Chelsea Yurkovitz, I had worked with her on a previous film and she was fantastic. And I kind of wrote her in as the lead just because I was like, I think I want to cast her again. And then Tanner Gilman, who plays Harvey, I met him when I was working on Studio C. He's just a fantastic actor all around. I was like, dude, I want to cast this guy in something. And in the case of this movie, it was literally just talking to people that I knew already and just saying, hey, I've got this project. Would you be interested in doing a read for it? And then they send me their audition tape and I'd look at it and be like, yep, you're cast.
There you go.
Colin Cunningham was, I actually met him at a film festival like a year and a half ago. And he had my previous film, Magellan, had played there. And he watched it and was like, expressed interest in working with me at some point. And so I took advantage of that and called him up. I was like, I need someone to play the dad. And he was super gracious and totally willing to do it. Even though it's not a huge role, but he was super down with it. Fantastic actor to work with. He was in Falling Skies for 6 seasons. He was in Stargate SG-1. Just been in a lot of kind of fun genre TV shows. The only actor that I didn't have a name for that I wanted to approach was the actor who played Steve. I had no idea who I wanted to cast for Steve. So we just sent an open casting call. There's different Facebook groups for like casting in Utah. And so I just put an open casting call there and we got all sorts of responses to it from lots of different actors. And it was actually kind of a hard decision because there was like a lot of different actors who brought a lot of different takes on the character of Steve. And eventually we just settled on Halem because we just liked the kind of the pleasant goofiness he brought to it. Just made the character kind of fun to watch. So that's how we ended up with Halem Medina as Steve.
Both Brandon, myself, and my wife think he could play Dwayne Johnson's son in a film or something like that. He looks a lot like
you're not too far off. He has actually been a stand-in for Dwayne Johnson on a couple of films. He was a stand-in in Hobbs and Shaw and Jumanji and a couple other movies.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and I mean it's one of 56 stand-ins and stunt doubles that The Rock has, but yeah, he has done it.
He fits the part, so it works. I'm curious. I don't want to give any spoilers for the movie because I think people should go watch it and enjoy it without a lot of prior knowledge. But I'm curious how you guys went about creating the monster for the movie.
So I approached a buddy of mine named Chris Hansen. He does just kind of cool visual effects he's worked on a lot of films and stuff, like X-Files and Danny Darko, or no, which one was it? I don't know, Hellboy, different movies like that. He's been an artist on those. He's local to Utah now. Anyway, I just approached him and I was like, hey, we got a monster movie. Would you be interested? You have time? And he happened to be right between projects, and like it was actually kind of cool because when we got the green light for the film, we basically had 3 weeks before we had to start filming if we were going to actually hit October. So we had 3 weeks pre-production time, which is insane. Like, don't ever make a movie and start filming a movie 3 weeks after you get the green light on it. But he just happened to be available those weeks. And so he just he read the script and then kind of went off on his own direction on it. Because originally in the script, we kind of imagined the ghost being a lot more, or the monster being a lot more ethereal and like kind of think of like a Dementor type thing, like from Harry Potter, like just more like ghostly. But he was like, no, we got to make it like a big physical monster and give it like a big, muscular, gross jaw and lots of teeth hanging out. And I was like, okay, let's go for it. I feel like it's a good example of, the awesome results you get from collaboration. Because you have your idea, but then somebody else has their idea and you're able to come together and just come up with something that's really cool. So the whole thing was made out of, we had a full size like animatronic costume one. We had some cable rod controlled puppets, which were cool, and some miniatures as well that we used for VFX sequences. We used lots of slime as well. Had to get them good and slimy because that's half the fun.
So you mentioned you're working on another project right now. Is there anything you can tell us about this other project, or at least when you anticipate it to be released?
So the other film, tentatively called Tiger. I think the name might end up changing. But it's kind of another 80s throwback monster movie. It's more of an action movie. Hopefully it'll be out within the next 6 months, I'm hoping. We'll see. And I'm not as in charge of that. One was produced by another company, and so I wrote and directed the film, but I haven't really been involved in the post process. So I'm just kind of waiting to hear back from them to see when that'll be closer to completion. So
Nice. Was that also filmed here in Utah?
we actually filmed that one up in it was during lockdown and when there was like no productions going on at all. We filmed it up in American Fork Canyon area, and then the rest of it we filmed at Art Dye Park in American Fork, which is like a frisbee golf course, but it's like a nicely forested area. And so the idea, a hiker camper who stumbles upon a group of hunters who've been attacked by some sort of creature. It was all supposed to be in the mountains, but this park, was a perfect stand-in for the woods. So we filmed most of it there, and it was, yeah, it'll be fun. It's a fun little flick.
You have to keep us updated on it. Let us know. We'd love to talk with you about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I think it was great. I mean, we obviously don't want to dive in and tell the whole story of the movie, or else we're ruining it for everybody. But it's a fun watch. It's definitely it's family friendly. It might, like you said, scare young kids, but overall, it's just a fun movie. Something that you would probably, I told Brandon, it's like something like if you're just watching the Disney Channel and a movie comes on, it's something that similar to that. Just a fun film.
I did have one last question I thought of. I know that directors often throw in, things to look for, things they hide in the movie. Is there anything like that you can give us the inside scoop on?
Easter egg.
Easter eggs, that's the word I'm looking for. Thanks, Nate.
Yeah, Easter eggs. Yeah, there's quite a few Easter eggs. I'm trying to think of some that would be fun to talk about, because there's a lot of like personal Easter eggs with like my family and stuff, because like my kids are in the movie, like stuff like that, where I just had to get them in there somehow. I also I'm a spooky kids book author. I have a series called Frightland, kind of a middle grade Goosebumps sort of a series, and a couple times in the movie, our actress has either the book on the shelf or she's like reading it. What else? She's wearing a shirt that says Magellan on it, which is the first movie that I made. Just little things like that.
And I think according to a website here, some crazy credits. It says no dead cats were reanimated during the filming of this motion picture.
That's true. None were. I stand by that statement.
And then it says during the end credits, it says Crom is listed as played by himself. It's funny.
Well, I mean, he was.
So you got the actual demon to come play in the movie.
It's a documentary. It's a
documentary.
This just got really scary.
That's fun. I like stuff like that.
Well, Rob, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about your movie. I think I can speak for Nate and myself. We both love Halloween. We know there's a lot of Halloween movies filmed in Utah, and it is great to add another one to the list. And I think this one really does justice to Utah Halloween movie, I guess I could say.
Well, appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for taking the time and talking with me. It's been fun.
Here's a plug for you too. If you have to choose between watching Halloween Ends or this one for sure. Halloween Ends is dumb.
Oh, well, I appreciate the sentiment.
So
yeah, I'm excited for people to check it out. It's available on Vudu and Amazon Prime and Peacock TV, as well
as
Tubi.
I watched it on Tubi.
Oh yeah, Tubi with ads, free with ads. That's always great, because we can always use more subscription services, but it's good to have one you don't have to sign up for.
Yeah, and I was thinking this is giving them some ad revenue. Maybe not a ton, but it's something.
Yeah, Tubi actually does pretty good for independent films, so it's not a bad platform to be on.
Okay, well, we look forward to hopefully talking with you again about more projects you do. We'll watch out for those. But yeah, thanks for making some more good things for us to watch, Rob. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks so much for watching.
And we'll just forward all our ideas onto you, since we are in no position to make a movie right now, but we have lots of
Yeah.
ideas.
I'll look forward to the email.
Sounds good.
It's always fun to hear the behind the scenes, the making of a movie from actors or the people that make the movie. Because it's just such an abstract idea to me, you know?
Right. And how much like work goes into getting the film done.
No, I think it was a fun movie. What I really appreciated about it is it has a very Halloween vibe. It's pretty true to, I mean, it's like a Utah Halloween. I don't know if in the movie, I didn't ask this, but it doesn't seem like it's supposed to take place in Utah. But knowing it was filmed in October in Utah, I kind of like that.
Good question. I don't know if they ever mention like where they are or like what did they say the name of the town?
They make comments about Lakeside, but they never come out and say,
Like where it's supposed to be.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like you said, overall it's a fun movie. It's like, you know, Rob mentioned it's not going to win any Oscars or film festivals, but it's a kind of a quick movie too. I mean, that's what I enjoy about movies lately that are only 90 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I do, there was probably two moments that made me laugh out loud, which is always a bonus if a movie can make me laugh.
Yeah,
So-
I laughed quite a bit. I thought that, and I think everyone in the movie did a good job, but the comedic elements of having the Studio C guy, what's his name, Tanner, and then the guy who played Steve, I thought they both had pretty funny moments in the movie.
Yeah.
I like the Tanner character was always eating something, and my favorite part was at a very tense moment, the most important thing to him in that moment was getting his food.
Right.
That was my favorite part of the movie. Comedic moment.
Right. And I guess we're ruining a little bit of the movie, but when he's like showing the map on the girl's hand, I don't know why that cracked me up too.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. There was a lot. He did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
Where did you watch it, Nate?
I have Peacock, so
They're on
like I
Peacock.
said, you'll get on Peacock and it'll ask you to watch Halloween Ends. Just skip over Halloween Ends and go straight to this one. Yeah.
It's a fun Halloween movie. Something I think you could watch with your family. I think I only heard 2 swear words in the whole movie. Other than that, it's maybe questionable because it could be scary for kids, younger kids. And it's great to support the local film industry too, and the work that they put into this. It's been a fun Halloween season. We've had a lot of Halloween episodes, as we always tend to do. And we maybe, just maybe, have one more up our sleeve.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. If it
Brandon.
happens.
If it happens. Because
Okay, I mean,
Brandon's too embarrassed to let people know that he got scared.
so keep an eye on your podcast app, wherever you listen to us, because you might get one last Halloween surprise from us.
I was gonna say it might just show up unexpected.
Thanks for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
See you next week.
Or sooner.
The ancient Celts believed the time at the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter was when the wall between life and death was thinnest. They called it Samhain.
What are you doing here?
You ordered Chinese?
You should be nice to him, seriously. He's had a hard life.
Okay. I just wanted a tip, but not this bad.
Mary, you're telling us a ghost story like a week before Halloween. What do you want us to think? My parents are out of town for the next couple of days still, so I'm here alone. It says a haunting is an emotion that keeps repeating itself.
This is just ridiculous.
What happened to us is ridiculous.
He was lying on the floor, like right there when I saw him.
He's dead. There's some kind of ancient death god on the loose. It could be any one of us next. We have to direct it to a tune by Halloween night.
And if we mess up, then everyone is screwed.
We're gonna die. You can't. You have to leave it. What is happening?
What you doing?
I'm making a costume.
For work?
Sure.
What are we doing? What?
Sorry.
I just got chills. He's here. Who's here?